Good evening, everybody. I got a little bit of an echo going on here. Hold on, let me figure out. Good evening, everybody. That would be why. Little hiccups. Let me get rid of that. Bella, good to see you. KKGG, hope you had a good birthday. LJ Boone, good to see you as well. Welcome to Wednesday, December 4th, the 115th day of the full-scale invasion by Russia. Couple quick things to go over before we start the operational information. North Korean soldiers, the soldiers of South Korea made a video appeal to in Korean to the military of the North Korean fighters in Russian Federation. So just I am South Korean from the South. I voluntarily joined the Ukrainian army and have been fighting in Ukraine against Russia for 3 years now. Kim Jong-un, his family, and some of his wealthy cronies are still living a life of luxury, but ordinary North Koreans are suffering from cold and hunger. You are being unilaterally sacrificed for them. You choose to live in fear, cold, and hunger. You have the freedom and the right to make your own lives. When you see the Ukrainian army, throw down your weapons, raise your hands to show your intentions. We will not harm you. We will give you food, homes, money, and job. If you wish, we can give you asylum in another country. Don't make yourself a slave to Kim Jong-poo Bear. Choose your own path to freedom and liberation. That is it. So that was released today and spread on the networks to the North Korean soldiers. Cover that in the news. Oh, yeah, this is the one. The problem of youth unemployment in the Russian Federation has ceased to exist, according to Putin. It is amazing the number of problems you can solve by sending men to die in Ukraine. Prison overcrowding, solved. An overworked court system, frontline duty instead of legal process, solved. High alcohol consumption, a dead Russian drinks less vodka. Yeah, that's one way to solve your issues. 50 drones were launched against Ukraine yesterday. 29 of them were shot down. 18 were lost due to electronic warfare. And 1 left the controlled airspace of Ukraine. 2 still got through, unfortunately. But just wanted to give you guys that little bit of a teaser for now. Yeah, I think Raptor's caps lock button's broken. Um, anyways, they didn't do formatting on the operational information for today. So it's going to be a big wall of text. I'll do my best to disseminate the information for you. The 1015th day of the large-scale armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine has begun. During the past day, 192 combat clashes took place. According to available information, yesterday the enemy struck the positions of Ukrainian units in populated areas with one rocket assault with just one rocket. 64 airstrikes utilizing 84 guided air bombs. In addition, carried out 4,900 artillery strikes, of which 172 were from MLRS. Russia also used 2,119 kamikaze drones. The areas where Russia bombed settlements from aircraft drop bombs include, that one's a rough one to start with, Odnorobivka, Vysoka Yurga, Hilbloke, Hushlivka, Ivanivka, Kivsharika, Serbianka, Bilokruminska, Druskivka, Konstantinivka, Toretsk, Brstosk, Petrivka, Pokrovsk, Alexandro Kalinovka, Stary Mikolaivka, Mirnograd, Konstantinopolsky, Dasheni, Ukleli, Dnipro Energia, and Velika Novosibirska. A lot of those towns we know, frontline towns that are not only being attacked, but also today bombed. Missile artillery and the missile and artillery forces of the defense forces struck areas of concentration of personnel and anti-aircraft defenses of the enemy 3 times in the past day. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with the lack of editing. With my dyslexia, the walls of text like this just kind of blend together. So, excuse me if I'm having a bit of difficulty reading all this today. In the Kharkiv direction, the enemy carried out offensive and assault actions 6 times in the areas of Vashchansk, Hilobloki, and in the directions of Kozachi Lopan. Going into Kharkiv, of course, Kharkiv is right here. Kozachi Lopan is here, just up the road. Hilbloke, and of course, Vashchansk. Let me grab a video, because I do have a video of what is happening in Vashchansk. Oh, I did. But I guess I forgot to... Oh, I did not link it in my Telegram channel, so I'll have to skip on that for now. I apologize for setting you guys up and not delivering. Let me just scroll through here again. Uh, okay, I'm not going to let that video play because it is very graphic and YouTube will have a hissy fit. There is a video of how the 24th Brigade destroyed the Russian combatant in Chasiv Yar. At the end of September, the soldiers of the 24th Brigade eliminated Yevhen Smirnov, the battalion commander of the 5th Sabotage and Reconnaissance Brigade. During the filming of another report, the invaders ran over a mine left by our soldiers at night. The commander took part in the occupation of Crimea in 2014 and then fought against Ukraine at the front. He received just retribution. The 13th, who had already been brought, voiced this incident. So, his, they go through and talk that one. If you want to check it out, go to my Telegram channel, RF Commander taken out in Chasiv Yar. Yeah, I guess I forgot to link that one. I'll have to go back and find it. Yeah, YouTube is being weird. And actually, my chat just disconnected and reconnected again. YouTube has had some issues lately. Anyways, moving on to Kupiansk direction. The number of combat clashes per day in the Kupiansk direction reached 13. The Defense Forces repelled attacks of the occupiers in the areas of Lozova, Stelmakivka, Koloniska, and Prshatravnivo. Stelmakivka is a new one, so I'll have to try and hunt that one down. And of course, Kolonivska, Lozova, and see if I could find Sinivka, little suburb of Liman Pershi. I haven't seen that name on the map before, but it is one of the areas. Oh no, that's not the Stelmakivka. I saw the S and I assumed. Yeah, I'm not seeing that town. Maybe it's one of these little suburbs. But it's not showing up, so we'll have to just move on from that one and move into Liman direction. In the Liman direction, our troops stopped 9 enemy attacks. The invaders concentrated the main efforts in the areas of Prshatravny, Novoihorivka, Gorivka, Yampolivka, and Terny. Terny, Yampolivka, Novoihorivka. Oh, what was the other one? Oh, other two, Prshat and Gorivka. Gorivka, but I'm not seeing the the other one, the Pershato Nove. Yeah, it's one thing I don't like about the deep state map is different names for towns show up depending on what level you zoom in. So sometimes it is hard to find the towns they are talking about. I can't even read that one. But like Zerchini shows up, but Torsk doesn't until you zoom in. So I still cannot find that one, so we're gonna have to move on for now. So Kramatorsk and Toretsk. Three attacks of the invaders were repulsed by Ukrainian units in the Kramatorsk direction. The enemy tried to advance near Stupochny, Bilohora, and in the area of Chasiv Yar. In the Toretsk direction, the enemy tried to advance 3 times in the Toretsk and the Pivka areas. So Bilohorova is one of those towns that don't show up unless you're zoomed into the right level. There we go. Bilohora, Stupochny, and of course Chasiv Yar. Going south to Toretsk, Nepivka and Toretsk were the main assault groups. No major changes today, thankfully, in this area. And now we get to the main areas of the attacks by Russia. Pokrovsk. 44 attacks. Such a number were 44 attacks were repulsed by our defenders in the Pokrovsk direction during the past day. The enemies tried to advance near Mirolibivka, Lysivka, Promini, Dashchenki, Kumyatsky, and Novopuskinka. Promin, Lysivka, Dashtrasny, Kunitsky, Novopuk. Oh, I'm not seeing. Pushkinka is here, so I'd assume Novopushkinka is close by. But I'm not seeing it on the map anywhere in particular. Yeah, I'm not seeing the Novopusinka. So we'll just have to move on. But 44 assaults and pretty much the same towns we've been reading about for the last month. Moving on to the Kharkiv direction. Defense forces continue to restrain the enemy in the Kharkiv direction in the districts of Sonsivka, Zori, Delaney, Korokovo, Elizavetivka, and Hanivka. The occupiers tried to advance through Ukrainian defenses 44 times as well. So the same number of attacks as in Pokrovsk. but you're talking a much smaller area for Kharkiv, Zora, Sonsivka, Korskokova, Dachini, Elizavetivka, Hanivka, Upentiska, and I actually do have a video from this area today. Let me find it. This is kind of a heartfelt one. Oh, come on. It doesn't want to come onto the main screen. There we go. So this is a rescue of civilians in the Kharkova city.
Как вы вообще? Расскажи мне. Натерпелись, да?
And
Бедняжки. Да.
that's who they're rescuing. 2 kids and their mom. Aw.
Все, сели, да. Детки на месте. Потихонечку, да. Теперь туда буду. Давай. Как тебя зовут? Владлена. Дай я обниму тебя. Все, берегите себя, хорошо? И брата береги. Барбоса. И ты. А так. Давай. Ребят, берегите себя. Все, удачи.
So, evacuation of civilians in Kharkova is still ongoing. Okay, is chat that slow or am I still disconnected? That is Kharkova direction. In the Remika direction, our defenders stopped 25 enemy attacks in the districts of Konstantinopolski. That's a tough one. That's a tongue twister for sure. Sukovyaly, Rozdolny, Makrivka, and Novodorivka. Again, same towns. Konstantinopolski, Sukovyaly, Rozdolny, and good news is Novokumar has been liberated. We saw a few days ago a Russian column advanced to the settlement, but was stranded there. Ukrainian forces have cut them off, and they were eliminated in that settlement. So good work on for the Ukrainian defenders. And, you know, they're talking 3 different fronts here, but just to give you an idea, from Velika Novoselivka to Pokrovsk is only 55 kilometers. You know, in this small area, you're looking at 25, 44. So over, oh God, my brain cannot do math today. 113 assaults in a 50-kilometer area in one day. Moving on to Orhiv. Enemy units tried to advance 4 times in the areas of Robotny, Novodanlivka, and Novoandrivka. Do this one by itself today. Novodanlivka, Novoandrivka, and Robotny. Those are the areas where Russia tried to advance in the Orhiv direction. In the Dnieper direction, the invaders unsuccessfully attacked the positions of our troops 7 times. So let's just mark that. And there are other reports coming out, but unfortunately no video. But Russia is going after like these small islands, trying to get a foothold in like this island here, and on this kind of like island peninsula, it's almost like a sandbar, but that's where Russia's trying to attack, get a closer stepping off point into to try and assault Kherson again. It's going to be an interesting situation, and definitely have to keep our eyes on this going forward. The Defense Forces of Ukraine continue to operate in the Kursk direction, where the enemy has carried out 5 airstrikes over the past day using 6 guided bombs. Significant drop in the number of bombings in Kursk. The enemy defenders also repelled 30 enemy attacks. Again, in the Kursk area. Of course, there's reports out there, Russia's trying to... Putin has told their people they need to recapture Kursk by January 20th, before Trump comes into office. And of course, on the flip side, Ukrainian troops are being told to hold as long as possible and see what happens with the Trump inauguration. Operational information in Zolny and Polotsk directions has not changed. No signs of formation of enemy offensive groups were detected on the border with Chernihiv and Sumy regions. The enemy maintains a military presence and conducts reconnaissance activities and artillery shelling. In total, the losses, we'll go over the losses later. They end with, join the defense forces. Together we will win. Go back to the original Ukrainian, and Razom do Peremojemo. Together we will win. So it's fast becoming my favorite saying in Ukrainian. Going to the air alerts, Chernihiv and Poltava have cleared. Kyiv is still going at 5 hours 13 minutes. Cherkasy 5 hours 57 minutes. Vinnytsia 41 minutes, and Zhytomyr 4 hours 35 minutes. I saved Zhytomyr for last because I have a video I would like to show you, and this is Ukrainian sappers disposing of an unexploded missile in Zhytomyr.
Викопуємо ямку для такої бойової частини А-101. Внаслідок ракетного обстрілу.
Детонатори всередині, у нас з механічними ушкодженнями, надзвичайно небезпечно. І тут будемо знищувати її.
Отлично. Все. Отлично.
Монтували
They placed it in there, covered it with dirt, and watch how big this explosion is at the end here.
Провели евакуаційні заходи з навколишніх сіл і будемо проводити знищення шляхом підриву з використанням штатних вибухових матеріалів.
Big boom. Big bada boom.
Надзвичайно
Sorry, a little
небезпечно
Fifth Element
місця.
nerding out going on.
Знищено. Тут утворився просто кратер. Це кратер. Зробили добру справу. Просто
Thankfully, this is just a farm field.
напором уже. Металеві.
Could have easily been somebody's home, an apartment building.
Значить, нічого на село не пішло. Значить, не дарма ми тут, так знаю, намучились.
Fortunately, all you have to do now is fill in the hole. So went over the drones, went over the missile. Can't show that one. Went over that. That's part of the news. That's part of the news. So I got two news stories on Telegram I want to talk to you with. But let's go to Zelensky official and cover his speech for today.
Українці, українки, коротко про сьогодні. Доповідь головкома Сирського, фронт, наші кроки для посилення напрямків, постачання в бригади, Курська операція. Була доповідь також керівника ГУР. Буданов доповів щодо російських намірів на найближчий час і щодо ситуації в Сирії, те, як зміна розстановки сил в Сирії може змінити глобальні обставини. Також була доповідь по ситуації в Грузії. Це в Грузії, звичайно, не лише проблема одного народу. І не тільки нашого регіону, як сьогоднішня влада в Грузії штовхає країну на очевидну залежність від Росії. Це просто ганебно. На які речі вони йдуть зараз проти свого ж народу. І коли в Москві хвалять цю владу в Грузії, це чітко окреслює, на кого вони зараз у Тбілісі працюють і для кого розганяють протести. Точно не для Грузії. Ми готуємо нашу юридичну реакцію та працюємо з європейцями і іншими партнерами щодо конкретних дій. Я доручив підготувати відповідні санкційні рішення. Була сьогодні доповідь прем'єр-міністра. Вже майже 5 мільйонів українців дали заявки на зимову виплату, є підтримки. І сьогодні ж увійшла в програму Укрпошта. Це буде ще більш ніж 2 мільйони людей, які отримують пенсії та соціальні платежі через Укрпошту. Так само ці люди отримують і виплату в 1000 гривень. Ми обговорили сьогодні роботу з Європою, з Європейським банком реконструкції і розвитку, партнерами схвалені інвестиції, обсяг 1 300 000 000 євро. Це кошти на інфраструктуру, логістику, зокрема це енергетика. Вдячним партнерам. Скоординували роботу з урядом на грудень, особливо роботу з прифронтовими регіонами, все, що стосується опалювального сезону, фінансів, енергетики, безпекових питань. Ще одне. Привітав наших воїнів з Днем ракетних військ і артилерії, вручив державні нагороди, бойові хрести, почесні відзнаки за мужність та відвагу 107-й реактивній артилерійській бригаді, Кременчуцькій бригаді, також 15-й окремій бригаді артилерійської розвідки «Чорний ліс». Дякую вам, воїни. Дякую усім, хто б'ється заради нашої держави, заради наших людей і усім, хто нам допомагає. Слава Україні!
Героям слава.
Бажаю здоров'я!
Of course, he's sitting there talking about the situation in Syria and Georgia. It's pretty tense there. Sorry, I was catching up with chat. I've watched this a couple times already because, I watch it in Ukrainian. and then I watch it in English, and then I go back and watch it in Ukrainian. This is one of my ways I try to learn Ukrainian. But I was just going through chat and catching up with everybody. Welcome everybody that's shown up. Mr. Squiggle, Ozzy T, Blonde. I'm sure there's a couple others that I might have missed. I apologize. Of course, Blue. So Andrew Petri asks, so I know it sucks, but they keep the stolen land, but they get NATO. What do I think? Well, it depends on the they you're talking about. Russia keeps the land they're occupied, or the entire oblast. And they get NATO. And Ukraine joins NATO. That's really a decision for Ukraine, but I'll give my 2 cents for what it's worth, which is probably 2 cents. They're occupying Kherson, but this is also part of Kherson Oblast. Does Russia get this area too? I don't think that should happen. And of course, Zaporizhia, but not occupied. Donetsk, but not occupied. And Luhansk, there's still some areas that are not occupied. Does Ukraine keep the area of Kursk? That'd be an interesting development. It's going to be an interesting peace talks. Because I don't see Russia agreeing to anything where Ukraine gets to join NATO. Because you have to remember, Russia doesn't want Ukraine. Russia cannot afford to occupy Ukraine. They don't have the troops to do it. What they want is this gap right here. And clear that one. Oh, no, I want the drawing. Where Russia really wants to get to is right here. And then essentially right here, following the river up to Kaliningrad. Well, guess what? Romania is part of NATO. Warsaw is part of NATO. Oh. Of course, you got Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, all part of NATO. No, Putin's plan was to capture Kyiv, overthrow the government, and be in here in 3 days, and working on Moldova already. Probably through Moldova by now. He still has work to do down in Georgia. We see what's happening down in Georgia. Losing Syria. So I don't see Russia accepting NATO membership for Ukraine. Let's go blue sky. I've shared this map a couple times. Besparian Gap. They want from the Carpathians up to the river through Warsaw and up to the Baltic. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Georgia and Azerbaijan. with this, they have borders they can actually defend. You have to realize Russia has like 3 times the borders of the US and a third of the population. They can't defend this border. They can't defend this border. They couldn't defend, they need to get to these gaps to be able to have a defensive line that they can man. Without that, without pushing out to these gaps, Russia does not feel they have security. So I don't see Russia approving a deal that includes Ukraine in NATO. I don't see a deal that Ukraine will accept that gives up land that Russia hasn't occupied. It's kind of a weird way to say it. Ukraine is definitely not going to give up this area. It's not going to give up this area or this area. Might become a demilitarized zone, just like in North Korea and South Korea. But you also have to remember the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. The biggest nuclear power plant in the world. It's Russian occupied right now. Russia does not have the knowledge to be able to run, much less repair what damage has already been done to this nuclear power plant. Does that get turned over to Russia? And do we have another Chernobyl down here in the south because Russia's running this plant? There's so many other factors involved. And my chat is not scrolling. It's the Napoleon complex, KKGG. It doesn't matter that nobody's threatening or nobody's aggressive towards them. They see everybody else as a challenge. You have a better economy. Well, you're just, yeah, that would work too. That's a syndrome I'm sure is on the table as well. Yeah, it is. For Russians to feel secure, they need to basically conquer and subjugate 3 times their population. One of the things that people don't really catch on to is, okay, Moscow's here. If the rest of the map would load, like Russia's this small part, like right in here. If you're in that part, you're Russian. Russia and Russiana, or I can't remember the exact pronunciation, but there's 2 words for Russian citizen. You're actually Russian, or you've been conquered by Russia. So yeah, there's two classes of citizens in Russia: the ethnic Russians, and then everybody that's not Russian but is part of the Russian Federation. Think about that for a minute. It's an elite class in a territory the size of a continent. It's just an interesting thing. Let me go back to Telegram here and dig out those stories I wanted to talk to you with. Mayor of the city of Dnipro-Rudin in the Zaporizhia region was tortured to death in Russian captivity. His body was returned in the last exchange. Russians detained him on March of 2022. According to the head of the OAV, he was held in captivity for 3 years. He received information from Russian occupiers. The mayor received information that Russian occupiers detained in a bus where employees of the Zaporizhia ore plant were. He went over there. The employees were released, but the mayor was taken into captivity in exchange. There was no further information about him until he was returned to Ukraine dead. During the occupation, he did not leave the city or the people. He did everything to ensure the life of the community. He consistently informed the population about the course of events and supported them. And this is what happens to good people in Russia. That's why they're so adamant with the Free Azov rallies, why they want their children back, you know, for sticking up for the people. You know, former communist bloc is supposed to be a government of the people, and he stood up for them, and that's what Russia gave to him. And on to brighter news. U.S. plans to transfer the full $61 billion in aid to Ukraine by the end of Biden's term. This is not a new aid package, but this statement relates to the already provided or already approved aid packages that was agreed to after months of stalling in the U.S. Congress. Biden has recently made a new request for an additional $24 billion separate to this. So this is stuff we've already said, yes, give it to them. What, 8 months ago? Okay, I'll say 7 months ago. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because it's the beginning of the month and it was approved at the end of the month. So 7 months ago. And we still haven't sent them it. Do what you say and say what you do. Come on, guys. How hard is that? Our American politicians should know better. Moving on to mass media for today. Russian general calls U.S. chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff. I'd love to read it, but New York Times and paywall. Don't really need to read this one behind the headline. Putin relative accidentally reveals secret figures on troops missing in Ukraine. Let slip 50,000 soldiers are MIA in Ukraine. It is actually kind of funny, so I'm going to read more into it, but so this is where her slip up is. It was on an interview. Ministry of Internal Affairs takes DNA absolutely free of charge at their own expense and enters it into its database of all the relatives who have applied to us. There are already 48,000. Moments later, Defense Committee chiefs ask her not to disclose this number. Including Anna has mentioned figures here, including missing persons. I earnestly ask you not to use these figures anywhere. This is such sensitive, closed information, and when we draw up the final documents, we should not include these figures anywhere. That is from Andrei Cartel person, the Defense Committee chief. I didn't mention numbers of the missing, but yeah. So yeah, she obviously misspoke and said a number that she wasn't supposed to say. What that number is, 48,000 missing MIA from the Ukrainian invasion. Moving on to the next story. How Ukraine has faced its worst month on the battlefield in 2 years. I wouldn't necessarily say it's been the worst month. It's been the most active month. Get this. Ukraine lost an area equivalent to the size of New York City to Russian forces in November. New York City? That's not a big area. So this looks like a big number. 1,900 or 193,700 acres is the size of New York City. Not a big area. But they'd make it sound, sensationalizing. Got to sell papers, not the truth. Yeah. Russian control of Ukrainian territory has increased from 17.4% in November of 2023 to 17.9% as of 30th of November 2024. 0.5%. This is what Russia has gained in a year of war. Is 0.5% of Ukrainian territory. Let that sink in a minute. 0.5%. And I wanted to cover that before I covered this. Total combat losses of the enemy. December 4th, 1015th day. 747,370. 1,670 of those personnel were lost yesterday. 7 tanks, 31 APVs, 26 artillery systems, 1 anti-aircraft warfare system, 29 UAVs, 80 vehicles, and 1 special equipment. But they specifically said November 30th. So let's go back to November 30th. 740,400 troops. I didn't think about doing this. I should have. But let me just scroll back for a little while and get to November in 2023. Just so we're comparing apples to apples here. Because they're sitting there talking about 0.5% in the course of a year. Oh, this list is long. I'm almost back to January. Oh, I'm in January. There's December. Here we go. Let me pull this off, minimize this. And November 30th, 2023 and November 30th, 2024. 328,760. Where did I put my calculator? Underneath. So 740,400 minus 328,760. So 411,640. Let me put this in chat just so. Oh. $411,640 casualties from November 30th to November 30th, 23 to 24. And they gained 0.5%. 60% of the casualties in this war to date in the last year, and they gained 0.5%. But nobody's talking about that side of it. No, it's Ukraine's facing its worst month. How about Russia facing its worst year? Let alone the worst month. Russian gains. Talk about the losses. 411,640 casualties to gain 0.5%. So I don't know what else to say. It's sensationalizing. Oh, fear mongering, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it is. It's stupidity. Oh, Russia's making huge gains, 0.5% in a year. Uh, I wish I was a better writer so I could write a story and publish to these dumb newspapers. How long ago did we hear about Russia's using civilians as target practice in Kherson? Now it's finally hit mainstream media 3 months later, year later. Careful, Vlad. Andrew's going to hit you with that wrench. And of course, it's behind a paywall, so. Yeah. Year-old information, basically. Russia's been targeting civilians in Kherson for well over a year. And now it finally makes mainstream news, and they want you to pay to read about it. Year-old news. Johnson's a dickhead. He's rejecting Biden's request for $24 billion new aid package. Hell, we haven't sent them the $61 billion that was approved 8 months ago. 7 months ago. And he wants to do another 24. Okay. If it was sent before his term ended, I would be on board with this 24 billion. But when we have 7 months and still haven't sent 61 billion, frustration. Don't get me wrong, I love my country. I love my country. I hate my government. The U.S. government is so wrapped up in red tape and hurdles here, there, and everywhere. It sickens me. It really does. Ukraine's exhausted troops in Russia told to cling on and wait for Trump. I understand the reasoning behind that. I just don't like the wording. Again, it's sensationalizing a little bit. But the story of the day, all you mega January 6th lovers out there, January 6th rioter tried to join Russian army to fight Ukraine. Kevin Loftus said he was denied boarding as he attempted to leave the U.S. Of course, Wall Street Journal behind a paywall, but oh, this is one of your problems, Colby. A Capitol rioter from Texas tried to join Russia's military to fight against Ukraine and almost boarded a plane to Turkey to make it there, prosecutor says, in an unusual court hearing this week. Apparently, he was trying to run from being tried for his January 6th actions. Yeah. Tried to flee to Turkey while serving probation for misdemeanor charge related to his involvement in January 6th in the small print. Yeah, you're told when you go on probation you're not allowed to leave the state, much less the country, and here he is trying to leave the country. That's a mega for you. I don't know what to say. That's all I have for the news today. I understand what you're saying, Bert, but Russia doesn't need any more cannon fodder. Let's let them wait until Ukraine starts making advances and pushing back Russia. Yeah, that's just. It's really hard to say what I want to say without it being misconstrued. But I blame America's education system. We don't teach people how to differentiate bullshit from reality anymore. And that is a result of that. Cherkasky air raid has gone off, but Vinnytsia, Zhytomyr, and Kyiv are still active. That is all I have prepared for right now. But so if you're just here for the news, I thank you for coming. Have a good day, good night, whatever. But we're going to go into YouTube K2. I'm gonna have to do this the hard way. Okay, I'm not seeing it there. Let me try a different way. K2 54th. They put the uncensored videos here on Telegram, but because we're on YouTube, oh, they haven't put this one on YouTube yet. Or have they? Let me double check. No, 11 minutes 50. Okay, well, we're just gonna watch this on here, and if anything spicy comes up, we'll just have to skip.
Ну, побурі нахуй. Я повисив, у мене час є.
Some of you that watch these videos will recognize that guy. That is a very distressing video that they alluded to. So skip. And you see the guy's hand sticking out once in a while. I turn that down, that music a little bit here. And this is the mistake he made. He came out with a gun and tried to run. So as long as it's shown in thermal, it doesn't show the gore, we can play it. Just be on the safe side. So is that a TOR system? MLRS system? And that driver's not having a good day. Is this one of those golf carts? Sorry, I'm watching this for the first time. So the next morning, pilots spot the enemy moving towards our position. And this is one of the occupiers that, well, he doesn't have a good outcome in the end, but I'll give you a little bit of the story of this. Is he asked to have a cigarette before they drop on him. They actually come by, drop a note in a bottle for, giving him instructions on how to surrender. He says no, has a cigarette, and the Ukrainians oblige his wish. The rest of that video is that video, so I've seen that video. But you see the lead up to it in there. That's K2, 46. I can't show you that video at all. Of course, they're training. 47th Mechanized Brigade can you continue to destroy Russian equipment and personnel in Kursk. This just posted, so I haven't seen it before. 2 dirt bikes and a Lada. No Lada no more. Tank go boom. The 47th, of course, up there in Kursk. Any other new ones? I didn't go through any of the deep state stuff today. Just ran out of time. So clearing out the Oskil River. I know they dropped drones on people in that one, so no. Again, this is the same units up by Kupiansk. And if this goes where I think it's going, I'm ready to close. But that's the Russian meat waves coming in. And that's a Ukrainian tank chasing them back. Well, some of them are still running, but yeah, I don't like where this video is heading. Not for YouTube. Of course, Deep State uses those videos to give you guys the updates. Another video from the 8th and the 10th up in Kupiansk. Okay. Advertisement, I think. Fighting for Robotny. This is down by Orkhiv. Let me get rid of these. I can get rid of that. So, show you where this is located at. Orkhiv, the Dnipro Reservoir, Robotny, and this is an image of what's left of Robotny. Russia doesn't want towns. This is what Russia's capturing and fighting for. This is Russian Mir, Russian peace, Russian world, whatever you want to call it. That's what Russia's doing to towns all across the front line. Hammering them to dust. COVID-19 stuff. Nothing important. Yeah, nothing important. Oh, just so it is like the artillery serviceman day in Ukraine. So this is just a video to honor the artillery and other artillery service people. And this is why I am so glad when I hear about Russian MLRSs being taken out. S300, I believe. Another MLRS. Bunch of MLRSs. Again, another MLRS. Yeah, these tracked artillery pieces, I don't know what they are, so I'm, 155. Cool video. Situation around Pokrovsk. After the loss of Soledov, the Katsups continued to develop their success, and today it is quite significant. Currently, several areas of permanent enemy activity can be identified in Sukhov-Yar, Lysivka, Dasheny section southeast of Pokrovsk, and Petritrazovo Novoputsinka, which is already unfolding southwest of the city. So stuff we have already covered, just, your Deep State's version of it.
«48-й окремий штурмовий батальйон імені Номана Чебеліджіхана сьогодні зранку почав доштурмовувати останніх підерів, які були в Новому Камарі.
Let me translate this so I can read this for sure. The enemy suffered heavy casualties. Many soldiers fled to the highway. Today, prisoners were taken from the Russians. The village was cleared thanks to the successful operations of the assault infantry of the 48th Separate Assault Brigade. It should also be noted that a significant number of FPV calculations were involved in the liberation of the village. Crews of the drones turned catsups and bricks into vinaigrette. Interesting way to put it. Among the crews are the FPV Rupak Yuri of the 241st. It's also worth mentioning the Cossacks from 3rd Mechanized Brigade, 31st Separate Assault Brigade, and the 23rd Separate Assault Brigade. That was the liberation of Novokomar. Moving on. Svetove, let me So, yeah. Small Ukrainian village. And that's what's left of it. And it just is amazing to me. You see all the little pot marks. Those are all mortar, artillery rounds, missile rounds, what have you. It just moonscaped this entire village. Oh, fine, Divness. Let's see what you've been up to. Ouch. Get better, Dennis. That looks like it hurts. Well, that's all Telegram has to offer for today. Yeah. Zhytomyr is cleared. So just Kyiv and Vinnytsia remain under air alert. Of course, Russia is attacking the energy infrastructure of Ukraine, trying to make Ukrainians freeze this winter. Our guys need to hurry up and get that aid package over to Ukraine, help with the infrastructure and repair of electrical grid. Yeah, talking to my friends in Kyiv, they have 4 hours of guaranteed electricity, 4 hours of maybe electricity, and then 6 hours of guaranteed no electricity. And it's a rotating schedule. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys for coming. A little bit longer stream, but I wanted to show some of the other stuff that's out there. If you guys want current updates, like almost every battalion out there has their own Telegram channel, and get the videos straight from them without censorship, without editing, without some other idiot putting a watermark across it so you can't see what's going on. So yeah, if you want to see the raw videos, hop on Telegram and I can point you to a few of the channels to watch. Thank you all for coming. I especially want to thank you guys for supporting Ukraine. Ukraine has woven itself into my heart, and I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to put into words. It's a beautiful country. I want to spend more time there. And I'll see you next time. Have a good night. Stay safe, everybody.